thank you for coming this evening. I am sincerely honored and grateful for this opportunity to be with you in this very historic holy place of Bhaktivedanta Manor. Thank you. Somehow I didn't hear what he said I was supposed to speak tonight. But usually it doesn't make that much difference. My primary reason for coming to London, this visit on my way to our home in India, was to visit with my very dear, dear friend, brother, inspiration, His Grace Shruti Dharma Prabhu, who is given his life somehow I bring some Indian karma wherever technology is. For over 40 years, he's been steadily serving here with such steadiness and consistency. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Matra sparashastu kaunteya sitos nasuka dukada agamapayano nityastams datikshasva bharata. That the non-permanent appearance of happiness, distress, pleasure, pain, honor, dishonor, success, failure, they come and go in life like the winter and summer seasons. One should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. In Srila Prabhupada, he explains what it means not being disturbed. Because as long as the eternal soul is in a human body, it interacts with the world in such ways that we have emotions, we respond to situations. I heard a recording where a professor, he asked Srila Prabhupada, Arjuna heard Bhagavad Gita to Krishna. He's the example of how to realize by seeking shelter in a spirit of necessity. In Ayurveda, as well as naturopathy, you cannot digest food properly unless there's hunger. And unless you digest properly, there cannot be good health. So much is dependent on our hunger. So similarly, we can easily memorize, some of us it's easier than others, we can memorize information from scripture, from histories, from so many other philosophical sources. But unless we digest it, we get no realizations. There's no real benefit. Bhagavad Gita tells there's jnanam and there's vijnanam. Jnanam is knowledge that is learned through hearing. And vijnanam is when that knowledge is realized, when it's digested, when it transforms our life, the way we speak, the way we think, and our actions. And that's the purpose of everything on this spiritual path. All of our rituals, all of our learnings, our pujas, our prayers. It's for a sincere transformation of our character, of how we see the world and interact with the world. But unless we feel a necessity, we don't really learn. In this sense, death is a very wonderful blessing in this world because everyone has to do it. And we can never really get so comfortable in this world. We have a tendency of complacency, but we know inevitably and perhaps at any moment it will come. So it's a blessing because it gives a sense of necessity that I really have to understand who am I? What is the purpose of life? Where am I coming from and where am I going and why? So Arjuna, standing between these two great armies in Kurukshetra, he took shelter of Krishna. Please instruct me. And after hearing, he followed the instructions Krishna gave. He didn't just listen, he acted upon it. Even how difficult it was, he did it. And in this great battle he had to endure, his son, Abhimanyu, was killed. Very unfair the way it was done. Arjuna wept. He lost his son. He lost his son. Subhadra, Krishna's sister, was the mother. She wept. Yudhisthira, Bhima, they all wept. So this professor asked Srila Prabhupada, Krishna says you're supposed to tolerate without being disturbed, but it seems that Arjuna was disturbed. And Prabhupada said it's natural in human emotion that a father or a mother is going to cry when they lose their son. But it was in knowledge. They knew that it's the eternal soul that is the true self. But the body is a medium by which souls could interact within this world in very special and wonderful ways. And when the body's gone, that medium of interaction is lost. But we know for sure that the soul is eternal. It's moved on to its next destination. In this case with Abhimanyu, he was sure to go back to the spiritual world, the perfection of liberation. So according to our karma, we have a particular destiny where the soul travels to after it leaves this body. But Arjuna continued with his service. He carried on with his devotional character in serving the Lord's wish. Therefore, he was not disturbed. Srila Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book that a person's greatness has to be estimated by how one endures provoking situations. Greatness is not just in our popularity, in how many records we sell, or in how many books we write, how many records we break. Greatness is how we pass through difficult situations with integrity, with character, and with devotion. We learn from situations. A mind that is victimized by pettiness is distracted from its real purpose due to circumstances. We become angry. We become envious, lusty, greedy, envious, all these things. But if we have a strong spiritual foundation, we have a higher purpose. So all the things that happened through the history of Bhaktivedanta Manor and the British Yatra, many heartbreaking, tragic experiences. But someone like Shruti Dharma Prabhu, he bore it. He continued his service with an inner joy that illuminated his life and illuminated so many other people's lives. He simply gave his life for the well-being of others. Srila Prabhupada, he told our very esteemed and worshipable God Sister Yamuna Devi how important it was to take care of her health, her sadhana, and her services. But generally, devotees become so absorbed in their services that they just don't have much time for health. Has anybody ever experienced that? Because the nature of bhakti is to understand that the only way to experience Krishna is when Krishna reveals himself to us by his own sweet free will. We cannot attain Krishna through our knowledge, through our austerities, through our sadhana, through our service. Bhakti is very rare because Krishna reveals himself to us. God descends into our life in proportion to how unconditional our desire to serve and please him is. In our sadhana, in our japa, in our puja, in whatever other activities we're performing, ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyam. Krishna reciprocates according to our surrender. Surrender means an unconditional, unmotivated desire to please the Lord. No separate agenda. Srila Prabhupada writes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that pure devotional service is very rare, because no matter who you are or what you can do, you cannot achieve it. Pure devotional service is so rare that one who has it, Krishna, the Supreme God, the creator of all living entities, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate, the source of all material and spiritual world, Aham Bija, the seed-giving father, mother of all living beings, becomes subordinate to the love of his devotee. So he doesn't give that love easy. This is in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami. But then it is explained, but Krishna easily gives, freely gives, pure devotion, is willing to be conquered by one who is sincere, serious, and has no ulterior motives. We can't skip over this principle. In our chanting, in our hearing, our reading, in our prayers, in our pujas, in whatever we're doing, Krishna is going to reciprocate according to how we're doing it and how we're cultivating through our service an attitude of Gopi Bhartur Padakamaliyora Das Das Anudas, of being the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So devotees who really understand this are saragrahi. They have captured the essence. And they're aspiring for unselfish service that's not motivated by egoism, they want to please Krishna. And the easiest way of pleasing Krishna, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, in one beautiful prayer that he wrote, that by chanting the holy names, by serving Vaishnavas, and by showing compassion to the fallen souls, that is the essence of Dharma. Community is important, wherein within a community we care about each other. Because the tendencies of devotees is they want to serve us so much. They don't care so much about their own needs. So we must provide needs for each other and help each other. Lord Chaitanya, his interactions with his devotees personified this principle. It's not a detail. It's a primary foundational pillar to real devotion, is creating caring community. May I give some examples? We cannot imitate, but it's the principles we're meant to emulate and follow. Lord Chaitanya traveled for 2 years through the provinces of eastern, southern, and western India. He went from Jagannath Puri all the way down to Cape Comoran or Kanyakumari, the southernmost point of India, and then came up by the western provinces, and then back to Puri. During those 2 years, the devotees in Puri, because he only brought Kala Krishnadas with him, no one else was allowed to go. There was no internet in those days. There wasn't any podcasts. There was no emails. There was no telephones. And when you're traveling like that, there wasn't even a single letter sent back to Puri. So nobody knew where he was. When you give your heart and your life in love of God to the Supreme Lord who's in this world, what was their feelings of separation and anticipation? They had no idea when he would ever come back, if he would ever come back. And there was no way to communicate. And then he returned. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is one of the Lord's new but very sincere devotees, he approached the king, Prataparudra, and said, when Lord Chaitanya returns, before he left, he was briefly living in Puri and he was staying at my house. But he needs a place where he has some seclusion and some basic, simple comforts. Can we arrange it? Prataparudra Maharaj said, I think I know the exact best place. There's a very quiet area close to Jagannath's temple in the house of Kashi Mishra. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Puri, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya brought him to the house of Kashi Mishra. Kashi Mishra was so happy. He bowed his head at the feet of Lord Chaitanya and he said, my body, my home, my family, all my property, everything belongs to you. It is all yours. Please be home, make your home here. He was so sincere. From his heart he was speaking. He gave everything. Sharanagati. In that moment, from his heart, he surrendered everything to the Lord. My body, manaso deho geho jo kichu. Arpilun tua pade nanda kishore. Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he prays in this spirit. My body, my mind, my home, my family, whatever I know how to do, it's all for you. I'm yours. And the Lord reciprocates. He lifted up Kashi Mishra and embraced him, and then manifested the four-armed form of the Supreme Lord Narayan. Kashi Mishra looked on. He wasn't expecting that. And it really didn't matter. Everything belongs to you, my Lord, I'm yours. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said to Lord Chaitanya, we've tried to provide all the comforts you need according to what will make you happy. Please accept. And Lord Chaitanya's response was, my body belongs to all of you. I will accept whatever is your wish. The devotees are surrendering to the Lord, and the Lord is surrendering to the devotees. The devotees are very much careful that they're going to make Lord Chaitanya comfortable and happy. Soon after this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya brought all these different devotees from Puri. He said, each and every one of them, like a chataka bird. The story of a chatak bird is always looking up to the clouds for a drop of rain. And the chatak bird will never drink any water that's in a lake, a river, or that has come to the ground. They will only take the water directly that falls from the cloud. So they're always looking up for that cloud, waiting for that drop to fall. And sometimes such a long time comes, but they will never compromise to take water anywhere else except directly from that cloud. So in that same mood, all these devotees have simply been waiting for your return. He introduced each and every one of them. I don't have time to tell all the different interactions there, but afterward, when everybody left, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Lord Chaitanya were alone. And Lord Chaitanya called Kal Krishna Das. He said to Sarvabhauma, this devotee, he came with me for the whole South Indian tour. And during the trip, the Bhattataris, they allured him through very, very unethical, immoral temptations to leave me. And he left me. I had to go and find him and personally rescue them and take him away from them and back. Now, he can go anywhere he wants. I no longer have any service for him. Kal Krishna Das began to cry, and Lord Chaitanya walked away. He did the wrong thing. He fell down from his service. Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda Dat Prabhu, Jagadananda Pandit and Damodar Pandit, who were four of the most intimate, loving associates of Lord Chaitanya. They understood the heart of the Lord, that this devotee made a serious mistake. And the Lord is showing a very strong example so that people don't take things lightly about their responsibilities, either in their spiritual activities or in their moral principles. But ultimately, the Lord is so merciful. So he couldn't stay there. They thought among themselves, let us give him a service that he can become purified. They went to Lord Chaitanya and said, Sachi Devi, your mother, and all the devotees in Navadvip, Srikanda, Kulinagram, Shantipur, they don't know that you've returned from Puri. They have no news of it. May we send somebody with Mahaprasad from Puri, somebody who can tell all your stories and all your pastimes from South India, and give them the good news that you have returned, because they will soon come here to see you themselves. And they knew that Lord Chaitanya is all-pervading and all-knowing. They didn't say his name because they wanted to protect the lesson Lord Chaitanya wanted to show the world. But Lord Chaitanya knew. He said, do as you wish. So they sent Kal Krishna Das. What a wonderful mission. He was like carrying that raindrop that the chatak birds of all of Bengal were longing, thirsting to receive. He went to Navadvip and met Lord Chaitanya's mother, Sachi. Said, Lord Chaitanya's returned to Puri. Her heart erupted with joy, with ecstatic feelings that her son is home and safe, and now I'll get to hear about him again. We cannot imagine how she worried in her love. But that worry is not just like an ordinary person in this world. When you're worrying about Krishna, when you're worrying about other Vaishnavas who love Krishna, that's transcendental. He shared with Sachi Devi Lord Chaitanya's Leelas in South India because he knew them all. He went to Advaitacharya's house. He met with Haridas. Shivananda saying, Gadadhar Pandit. He was telling them all, and they were all celebrating. There was wonderful festivals. Advaitacharya invited devotees from all around to come to his house to hear Kal Krishna Das narrate the wonderful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and celebrate that he's returned to Puri. And they had several days of festivals of hearing and chanting and feasting and dancing and chanting of the holy names of the Lord. They all decided, let us all go to Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya. This is an example of the culture of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where the devotees really felt and cared for each other on every level. They set standards, but at the same time, they provided opportunities for those who were sincere. One of the great devotees that came to Navadvip was Paramananda Puri. He met Lord Chaitanya in South India. And Lord Chaitanya said, please come and live with me. So he went to Navadvip, and Sachi Mata hosted him at her house. And when Kal Krishna Das came and informed that Lord Chaitanya he's in Puri now, Paramananda Puri was going to go with Advaitacharya and about 200 others, but there were some delays and he just couldn't bear the delay, so he just left with one other. When he arrived in Puri, he came to Lord Chaitanya's home at Kashi Mishra's. Lord Chaitanya honored and worshipped Paramananda Puri because he was a godbrother of Lord Chaitanya's guru, Ishwara Puri. He bowed down to Paramananda Puri. And Paramananda Puri understood that this is my beloved Lord of my life. But to teach the world proper culture, etiquette, he's bowing down to me. And to serve him, I must cooperate. And then Lord Chaitanya personally arranged accommodations in the house of Kashi Mishra, right beside him practically. He said to Kashi Mishra, please arrange a very quiet, solitary room for him, just close to mine. And he provided a personal assistant to help him in every way and arranged all prasad for him. That's how Lord Chaitanya treated his devotees. In Navadvip, one of the most loving associates of Lord Chaitanya was Purushottam Acharya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left to take sannyas and katva from Keshav Bharati Maharaj, Purushottam Acharya, he kind of went transcendentally mad. Lord Chaitanya's left us to become a sannyasi? How could we live without him? He went to Varanasi and took sannyas. He became a sannyasi. He was very learned, wonderful musician, such deep love for Krishna. But when he heard that Lord Chaitanya had come to Puri, he was there within days. Now his name was Swarup Damodar Goswami. He bowed down before the Lord with full prostration. He offered his heart. The words he spoke to Lord Chaitanya are very much the condition of every aspiring devotee. He said, my Lord, I have committed the great offense of leaving you to do what I wanted to do. But by your mercy, by your kindness, you have pulled me back to you. The jiva. We are all infinitesimal parts and parcels of Krishna. Jivera Swarupoi Krishna Nityadasi. We are eternal servants of Krishna. Our nature is to love Krishna. Prema Pumarthaman. The only true goal of life is that love for Krishna. It's our nature. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sajya Kabunai. But somehow or other, with our independence, we have left Krishna for this journey of material existence, trying to be a proprietor, trying to be a controller, trying to be an enjoyer. And Maya is so strong. Daivihe Shugunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. That when we come in the clutches of Maya, we really have no power to come out. But yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. But our Supreme Beloved descends into this world again and again and again. In various incarnations, through his devotees, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in his holy names, just to bring us back. Srila Prabhupada came to Bhaktivedanta Manor. He was asked, what was our qualification to receive this matchless gift of bhakti? Prabhupada said, you had no qualifications. With all humility, Prabhupada said, I made your qualifications. Simply, you opened your hearts to receive. And you chose to accept and to follow. So by Krishna's grace, the lost souls of this world, Krishna comes to pull us back. But we need to agree to do so. So we'll never force. So Swarup Damodar Goswami, Lord Chaitanya lifted him and embraced him. And here is this incredible Vaishnav. He was to be the personal secretary, most intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya. But what was his nature? After he surrendered his heart at the feet of Lord Chaitanya, he bowed down to Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda lifted him up and embraced him. And then he bowed down to all of the various associates of Lord Chaitanya and befriended them. One day, a devotee came to Lord Chaitanya and said, "The great Brahmananda Bharati has come to see you." Brahmananda Bharati was a sannyasi. He was very, very exalted person. When Lord Chaitanya heard that Brahmananda Bharati had come, and he wanted to come and see him, Lord Chaitanya said, "No, he is so exalted, the great Brahmananda Bharati, he should not come to see me. I will go to see him." Immediately, whatever he was doing, he stopped to go to the place where Brahmananda Bharati was residing. And Lord Chaitanya there saw Brahmananda Bharati. He was wearing a deerskin, no other clothes. Because sometimes renunciates at that time, they would wear tree bark or deerskins. So Lord Chaitanya looked right at him, and he said to this assistant, he said, "I thought you were bringing me to see Brahmananda Bharati. Where is he?" He said, "He's right here." He said, "I don't see Brahmananda Bharati." "Where is Brahmananda Bharati?" "He's here." He said, "No, that cannot be Brahmananda Bharati. He would never wear a deerskin." Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. Should I continue or should we? Okay, that was your choice. Lord Chaitanya said, "Brahmananda Bharati is a very exalted person. This cannot be him." Brahmananda Bharati understood exactly. Because of what Lord Chaitanya said, he had to analyze his own consciousness. And he was thinking, I'm wearing this deerskin because of my false ego. I want people to think I'm a very, very exalted, renounced person. That's really the reason I'm wearing this deerskin. And the Lord is so merciful, without even insulting me. He didn't say anything against Brahmananda Bharati. He said, Brahmananda Bharati is a great soul. He would not wear deerskin. How loving, how respectful Lord Chaitanya was in this instance. And Brahmananda Bharati immediately just left that place, just disappeared. And he came back wearing regular, simple sannyasi dress. And Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, Brahmananda Bharati, you have come." So this was the mood of the interactions. He wouldn't crush him. He would get the job done by the most effective way. And Brahmananda Bharati, he was tinged with an impersonal conception, but Lord Chaitanya transformed him to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the form of God, and the eternal Leela of the Lord is the ultimate revelation of the Absolute Truth. And there was a wonderful dialogue that they had between them. And Lord Chaitanya ultimately, he said, I am defeated by you, Brahmananda Bharati. Brahmananda Bharati said, it is the nature of your eternal personality to be defeated by the love of your devotees. Then one day, a devotee named Govinda appeared. He said, I was the personal servant of Ishwara Puri. And before Ishwara Puri left this world, he gave me an instruction to come, after he leaves, to come to be your personal servant. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya inquired from Lord Chaitanya, because he was a very, very highly esteemed and exalted Brahmin. He asked Lord Chaitanya, Govinda, by caste, is a Shudra. He's coming from the lowest stratum of the society. How is it possible that Ishwara Puri accepted as his own personal assistant a Shudra? And Lord Chaitanya told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that the Lord responds to affection. He responds to devotion. We see the example in the Mahabharata. Vidura was a Shudra. And yet Krishna chose to take prasad at his house. Krishna gave such an exalted position to Vidura because of his devotion. And the scriptures and the great histories are filled with examples of this. Jatayu was a bird. And among birds, he was a vulture. But because he had devotion, Lord Ramchandra embraced him. Jatayu left his body with his head on the lap and in the arms of the Supreme Lord Sri Ram. So Lord Chaitanya told to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that, but the Swaputra Tokariyam, if one is chanting the holy name sincerely, if one is a sincere servant of a Vaishnav, then they are even more than Brahman. Because Krishna's Bhaktavatsal, he gives his great favor in response to a person's devotion. And then Lord Chaitanya asked a question to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. This is their relationship. They're both consulting each other. He said, what am I supposed to do? Govinda is so exalted. He's the personal assistant of my guru. And all my godbrothers are exalted because they're all assistants of my guru. They are all worshipable to me. How can I accept somebody who I honor and worship to be my servant? But what can I do? As a godbrother, as a personal assistant of my guru, I must worship him, but my guru ordered him to serve me. Please instruct me. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied that the guru's instruction is very strong. And he gave several wonderful examples. You must not come between him and the instruction of his guru. So Lord Chaitanya accepted Govinda as his personal assistant. It is described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that everyone accepted Govinda as a superior, because not only was a disciple of Ishwara Puri, but he was Lord Chaitanya's personal assistant. He had such an intimate relation with the Lord. But in the same verse, it tells how Govinda, besides serving the Lord, he felt himself to be the very humble servant of every single devotee. He would personally, as far as possible, see to their every need. Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayora Das Das Anudas. It's not that he was thinking, I am Gauranga's personal servant. You should assist me. Because that's not a servant. Servant is a state of consciousness. It's not just an activity. He understood that to please the Lord means I must humble myself to serve to the needs and every possible need possible to everyone. And this was the relationship among each other. After some time, all the 200 devotees from Bengal arrived in Puri. That's a glorious story, but it requires another class to approach. But Swarup Damodar Goswami and Govinda were the first people to come out to give garlands to each and every one of these devotees. Then Lord Chaitanya himself came out and met them on the road and gave them garlands and gave them sandalwood and embraced them and brought them to his own home and greeted them, praised them. Each one of them, he was describing their glorious qualities. And then he personally arranged the residential quarters for all 200 devotees. He personally arranged prasad for them. The devotees, everyone, their goal in life was serving each other. There was no greater wealth, no greater treasure than serving each other. So I should end here because there's a special presentation that's about to begin, and nobody gave me a time, but I'm sure I'm over time. The principle is, this is the spirit that our beloved Shruti Dharma Prabhu has made his very life. This is the spirit that Srila Prabhupada, by his own example, made his life. There are numerous stories. He built a beautiful guest house in Vrindavan because he wanted the devotees who came from the West to be comfortable, so that they could hear and they could chant and they could serve in a pleasing environment. When he was building the guest house in Mayapur, he was so concerned that each devotee had mosquito nets. He was so concerned that they had prasad, that they could digest nicely. And there are so many beautiful letters and instances of a devotee writing a letter that that they're ill, and Prabhupada giving a whole recipe of what they should do for medicine. And even if they didn't ask, he would tell. And at New Vrindavan, my very exalted God sister Nirmala Devi is here. If you remember, one of our God sisters, Gopalasya Priya Devi, she was sitting in a darshan of Srila Prabhupada, which was outside. She was sitting in the grass among about 30, 40 other devotees. And it was kind of cold out. And Srila Prabhupada turned to the temple president. He said, "She looks cold. She doesn't have proper clothing. Because she's a devotee, and such a good devotee, she will never ask anything for herself. But it's the duty of the leaders to provide for them. She's given her life. You should provide proper clothing for these devotees." Now Srila Prabhupada is sitting and he's speaking the absolute truth. He's speaking the conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. He's speaking about the Leelas of Vrindavan. But in such a practical way. Because all of those higher truths are really way above our heads unless we learn to be the servant of the servant of the servant and care for each other. The temple of Radha Gokulananda, where Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna are forever enjoying and giving pleasure to the residents of Gokul. Srila Prabhupada declared this community to be Gokul. And we all truly become leaders in whatever role we're in. We become leaders when we take our sadhana very seriously, when we truly value the association, the Sangam with each other, and we understand at the heart of it all that Krishna loves the devotees, even with their shortcomings. And he will love us if we show our love for each other. Thank you very much. Now this next presentation is a way we could show our love for Prabhupada and each other and Jivadoya, and to share that wonderful gift with all the world. Srimad Bhagavatam Amalam Puranam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declared the Srimad Bhagavatam to be the spotless Purana, the cream, the essence of all the Vedas. And it's confirmed. In the scriptures it is declared the great blessings one receives when one gives as a gift the Srimad Bhagavatam on Bhadra Purnima. And our beloved godbrother Vaisheshika Prabhu, very, very dear, wonderful devotee of Prabhupada and of all the Vaishnavas, is inspiring this wonderful festival of giving people the opportunity to give gift of Srimad Bhagavatam on Bhadra Purnima. And this presentation is to inspire us to participate. In conclusion, please take this presentation very seriously. And Shruti Dharma Prabhu, thank you for being the heart of our hearts. Thank you for exemplifying Srila Prabhupada's life and teachings. And please know how grateful we are that through your life of devotion, you've really given us a true glimpse into Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita's nectar. Thank you very much.